1 year of my life I was deeply into Scientology. I did the basic courses, visited the church and its events, talked a lot with other Scientologists and seriously considered joining. In the end, I didn't. Even though it wasn't easy, I walked away from it. This is the story of how and why Scientology wasn't for me. When I was in Scientology, I never heard anyone say anything about Xenu and all of the other science fiction-like nonsense. In the beginning, Scientology borders on what most people consider to be common sense. The introductory courses are all about improving communication between people, which can indeed be a very good thing. But there were also some peculiar ideas I could never really incorporate. The blind devotion with which some of these absurd concepts were embraced contributed strongly to my doubt and my decision to leave. My first understanding of Scientology was that it was a practical system to improve your life and that of others. To call it a philosophy or even a religion seemed a little bombastic, a little exaggerated. Scientology's meaning of life can be summed up with the word survival. The goal in life, according to Scientology, is to keep living. That's all. Without much argumentation, but with a lot of hype about how revolutionary this discovery was, it was just a disappointing excuse for an answer, mirroring perhaps a bit of Darwin's idea of survival of the fittest. The spiritual content of Scientology's ideas is equally vague. Hubbard had found out that human beings are basically spirits with a physical body, a notion that can be found in many religions, but left it at that. With cheap rhetoric, Scientologists tried to convince me of the validity of this idea. I had to close my eyes and picture a cat. Did I see the cat clearly? Well, the fact that I said that I was looking at the cat proved for them that there was such a thing as a spirit or thetan at work. I could, however, still argue that it was just some part of my brain calling up the image of a cat to which they didn't have a reply. Scientology presented a concept of the human mind that didn't seem to ring true. According to Hubbard, there was an analytical and a reactive mind. The reactive mind should be cleared of trauma through auditing sessions so that the analytical mind could shine through. The image of this analytical mind can be considered simplistic, naive and outdated. Hubbard saw this mind as some sort of data bank that stores all impressions correctly without bias. Going back in memory should be as easy as playing back a tape from the moment it was recorded. Modern science has indicated, though, that the brain works way more complex than this. It has been found that memories can change over time, that memories are constantly regrouping with ever-growing new associations. Scientology doesn't only have a view on the mind, but also on psychology and psychiatry. These sciences are viewed through a lens distorted not just by time, as it was originally conceived in the 1950s, but also by prejudice and paranoia. Who were the men behind Hitler? Staff members asked me. Who was responsible for all war and insanity in the world? The answer: psychiatrists. The claims they had against psychiatry were so grotesque I just couldn't believe it. They tried to convince me of this conspiracy with such fervor that they seemed creepy. Even though I had my personal doubts about the effectiveness of psychiatry, it just didn't gel in my brain that it was this horrible mafia-like scheme to destroy humanity. The alternatives Scientology offered weren't that great either. Sweating in a sauna for hours at a time and taking irresponsibly large amounts of niacin didn't seem healthy to me at all. Every time I started or finished a course, I felt some sort of euphoria. A euphoria like the other Scientologists on our way to a higher level. Every time, again and again, euphoria starting and finishing courses. In the meantime, I stumbled somehow. I noticed that the books were written in quite a messy style with lots of repetition, lots of anticipation and contradiction. Even dictionaries and more advanced Scientologists couldn't help. Was there such a thing as a one-shot clear? In the book Dianetics 55, a process is described to reach the state of clear all at once. What? Wasn't it all about auditing? The process was ridiculously simple. Take a book and a bottle and have a coach get you from one to the other, asking you to describe a couple sensations, what you see, feel, etc. over and over again for hours and hours. Book, bottle, book, bottle, book, bottle, book, bottle, book, bottle, etc. If this wasn't a joke, it was very disappointing. Could I see myself being extremely enthusiastic about such silliness? No. Could I imagine paying large amounts of money to undergo such numbing and trance-inducing exercises? Well, almost. It was then that I realized that euphoria I felt finishing and starting wasn't euphoria, but relief, like the feeling you get from taking off shoes that have bothered you for a while. When I realized this, I had to get out before it was too late. In the end, Scientology wasn't for me. In my experience, it doesn't work, it doesn't deliver, it doesn't give you freedom or happiness or enlightenment. What appears to be a volcano is nothing more than a hollow space filled with empty promises, a trap that's not only a waste of time, energy and money, but also a potential threat to your physical and mental health. Stay free. Keep thinking for yourself. Seek truth, shed light, and Scientology will implode, crumble, vanish, and self-destruct.